Okay, welcome to the AI Academy for Business Owners. This is our final recap session. Um, we are going to just give a quick overview of what we've covered in the last 10 weeks, and then have a start possibly of a discussion on what next steps will look like. So last week we talked about the black belt. And in the black belt, we learned a lot about automation. And we did that in a particular way. We actually used AI to teach us by asking it to actually summarize and give us instructions or give us education that was tailored to our unique circumstances. Which is again a skill that you should master in in learning stuff, because AI can now pretty much teach you anything there is to learn. We learned about SaaS automation tools, and in particular, we learned about Zapier and how that works. Hopefully, you went through and did the prompts yourself and read through that material. We learned how we can automate routine tasks between systems. And then I also gave you a really quick demo on how we can use a tool like Zapier to integrate ChatGPT into our automation stack. And that is going to really start to make a huge difference if you can master that in terms of being able to build processes that can now get that goal of being able to take you to be able to delegate and automate entire process streams, being able to build ChatGPT into something like a Zapier sequence. So that was what we covered last week in Black Belt. Just an update on our belt awards. I noticed that the Simple team have been going through and reviewing some of your submissions. There have been no new submissions that I could tell since we last met. But I can see some of your submissions have been approved. Some may have been sent back and asked for some corrections or resubmissions. So I encourage you to respond to those and go ahead and continue with that process. You're going to have access to this platform for a total of 3 months from when your account was first created, which most of you would have actually been about 2 months ago today. So you've actually got about another 3 to 4 weeks left on the system before it will lock up. So if you'd like to get certified, I strongly recommend you get that done before the end of that 3 month window. That is, unless, of course, we come to another arrangement to extend your access, which can be done. Um, but encourage you all to continue going through and submitting those certifications. So I want to just do a quick final wrap up on what we've covered for the last 9 weeks. So here's a complete list of all the different prompt lessons organized by belt that we've covered. As you can see, most of them were in the first three colored belts, white, yellow, and orange. And then we started shifting a little bit towards thinking about what AI can do rather than how can we, rather than how can we do something, but more into, well, what could we do? And we started brain shifting a little bit into the more higher thinking levels. All of those were included on the weekly summaries that I sent you. We also have these money moments, and I actually went back and counted up the different money moments over these last 9 sessions, and I think there are 5 major money moments that we have. The first was in the grey belt. We looked at the AI role plan. That AI role plan process can take any employee and start to see massive gains in their role if we apply it correctly. The second was the in the yellow belt, we looked at the AI productivity canvas. That was that swim lanes where we talked about automating and delegating. Again, if we think through that process and start to take deliverables or process components from anything in our business, we can start to see significant gains by thinking through it in that fashion. The next one, maybe the biggest one for most of you, was the green belt, where we looked at AI assistance, and we learned how we can actually take a long prompt in ChatGPT and turn that into a totally reusable tool that you can share with other people in your business. And that's probably one of the easiest and fastest things that you could do to reuse these skills and share them with other people in a way where they don't even have to understand what's going on, but they can now utilize that thing that you've learned. We looked in the brown belt at using AI to create AI assistants. And again, it was a major mind shift session where we learned that the AI can actually create its own, not just create a single prompt, but create a long prompt using an example with very little actual context given to it in terms of what it's trying to do. And it does a pretty good job. And then last week in the black belt, we looked at automation and we looked at how that tool like Zapier can even build in ChatGPT prompts into its process. And again, I believe that to be a key money moment because once we understand how we're going to implement that, we then take this kind of stuff about the productivity canvas. Maybe not so much the AI assistants, but possibly that as well. Be able to use that in a way that we can actually interact with other data rather than just with the user. And that's going to be able to automate and speed up many, many things. So those were the key learnings, in my opinion, over the last 9 weeks. So we had the prompt lessons. There's about what is that, 15, 24 key lessons there that we've learnt, plus the 5 money moments. Before we move on to discussion, just wanted to see if you had any comments or feedback on those two key learnings that we've aimed to achieve over the last several weeks.
I do have a question related to ChatGPT. I saw they just release projects instead of
Mhm.
chats. How is that different from chats? And when should we use it?
That's a very good question. That's very new. They've actually done a lot in the last few weeks, and I'm not even fully up to speed on what these projects are. Um, it could be a little bit last week. We noticed that they had changed their user interface and they had gone to this workspace mode. So I'm not 100% sure whether that's just a variation on the workspace mode or whether that's something totally new. So I haven't done the research on that yet. We'll send you a quick email once I've had a chance to look at that and let you know if I have any thoughts on it.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I mean this is the crazy thing with teaching this is it changes so frequently and so rapidly. And I think I warned you at the start of the course that we're going to start down this path and things may change before we get to the end of it. That was certainly what I experienced when I was going through this material the first time, and we've seen quite significant changes since in the last 10 weeks in this space, and there have been new announcements in this past week that the primacy of engines. ChatGPT was always sort of the highest. Well, Gemini have just released an update, and their update looks like it's superseding ChatGPT in its reasoning skills, even the new models. So again, there's so much happening in the space that it's actually quite hard to keep up with. But I will certainly look into that, Charles, and send you guys an email update once I've had a chance to play with it.
Awesome. Are you, sorry, Peter, are you saying that Gemini has surpassed ChatGPT for a certain function?
Yeah, so their reasoning model has just been released, and the feedback that I've heard, this is just other people talking about it, suggests that it has edged out ChatGPT o1 model in terms of its ability to do reasoning.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah, for a while, Gemini was well behind ChatGPT. And now all of a sudden it looks like it may, I'm not going to commit to it, but it may have exceeded it already. Now, what does that mean? It means that probably ChatGPT is working on their next model already in the background that'll overtake that one. This is very much a game of leapfrog, I think.
Fair enough.
Yes, but that was just something that's happened in the last few days. I was just listening to that in a summary this morning. So very, very fast moving space that we're in right now. Okay, just for the sake of Emily that's joined us, we were just having a quick review of what we've learned in the last 9 weeks. We've been looking at the prompt lessons that we have learnt over this time period. What did I say there was? I said there's about 24. There's 24 individual prompt lessons that we learned. And then we looked at the different sessions that we've had and the 5 money moments. that I think are the key, sort of movers and shakers in terms of the way that we can really make money using AI in our business. That's the role plan, the productivity canvas, turning automation and delegation, using AI assistants to capture a long prompt and share that with our team. Um, that mind shift that we had with the brown belt of AI can actually create long prompts for us really, really well, with little context. And then last week we looked at automation with a tool like Zapier, but there's several tools that will do this, and the ability to even build in ChatGPT prompts into that automation sequence to really, take something that you may have done with an assistant interacting with a human to now do it where you might not even need to interact with a human. Okay, so really
Amazing.
key
Thank
learnings
you.
there.
I'm driving today, but I'm gonna listen in and watch while I
Sure.
on.
Well, our
Thank
goal today is actually mostly discussion. So, I wanted to just give a quick recap of where we've been, just so that you guys, remember all the different things that we've covered. And so before we move into sort of the next steps side of the conversation, we'll just ask if there are, the topic we were just discussing was, what was there any feedback or interactions on these learnings that we've had over the last 10 weeks. Whether it be the prompts or the money moment, what I call the money moments, any feedback or additional comments you'd like to make on those learnings.
I've been using the green belt a lot
Great.
and actually gonna go back to what I built and start applying the black, brown, and yellow belt pieces because it's all now it's jibber jabber from what I load in there. So I know if I go back and use these blue, brown, and black, well, at the black, the processes there, I can fine tune these chat GPTs that we're going to be using.
Yeah.
And then later on down the road, I'll probably have to relook at the black prompts to integrate for APIs once we cross that bridge.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's really where when you combine sort of the idea of the role plan, the productivity canvas, and automation, this is where I think you're going to start to see the ability. And I often refer to these as micro tasks. Being able to take something that maybe it would have taken an hour before and get them totally off your desk. And if you only do that 5 or 6 times a week, well, there's almost a day's worth of work you've just saved. So and if you've got tasks or members of your team that are doing very repetitive things, well, we have the ability now, which we've never had before, to be able to really turn these into, high quality processes. And even if they don't necessarily save the whole hour, if we can make the process more intelligent, we can still get better results than if we just allowed a human to have to go through them in a rote manner. One of the challenges we often have is we always want to delegate, but sometimes we don't know if the person we're delegating to can make good decisions. Well, what we've seen is that AI is really good at synthesizing information and it can actually make fairly good decisions, or at least come up with fairly good factors as part of that process. So, like I showed last week with the Zapier automation that built in ChatGPT, I just used it really, really high level to summarize a document and bring out the key elements that I would need as an accountant to code that document. Okay. So, an experienced bookkeeper wouldn't need that to be done per se, but that gives you a good example of how you might be able to use that part of an automation to give good or better summarized information to a lower level staff member who can then take the next step with it. Okay, so being able to build in that AI empowered summarization, data extraction, whatever element you want to talk about, how can it do that? Well, this is the first time we've been able to see us be able to bring multiple data sources into a decision-making environment at an incredibly low price point. It's always been possible, but you've had to have a developer to do it. Well, now we can do it without any development cost whatsoever. And as we saw, literally, we can put one of these things in place in a matter of minutes. Okay, so the potential here is huge to be able to create microsystems that work just in your context with your data to do what you want to do without having to have a developer code an entire system for you. Okay, any other reflections or feedback before we move on to our bigger questions?
I do have one, Peter. I was entertaining giving that course back to my team. How could we make this work? Is
Yep, well, that's actually one of the questions on the next steps. So we
Yeah.
could enroll your team in the next version of the course that we're starting in January. Depending on, I mean, your team is pretty small, so that's probably the best option. One of the things that I'm willing to do is run a custom course for an organization. But obviously that would need a certain critical mass to make that worthwhile. So, someone like Chris, that might be something that Angie wants to consider, if you want to offer this to everyone in the team. Yeah, so we can certainly enroll some of your staff in this same course that we're launching in mid-January.
Got it. Any possibilities for us to offer to teach our own team?
Yes and no. So I'm not authorized to train the trainer. You need to be
Yeah.
certified in this by Simple to be able to
Yeah.
teach this material. So you can't use my material to teach them.
Yeah.
However, if you would like to become certified to teach this and pay Simple the fee that I pay them to be part of their program, then I can give you a referral link where you could sign up to do that.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Gives me options.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's move then on to the next steps. So these were the questions that I gave you last week, that I want you to think about. What do you plan to do in your business in the next 30 days? How do you think you're going to be able to use AI in the next year? What constraint do you think you have that AI could help with? And what support do you need from me on that journey? So let's start with the micro. Let's start with the 30 days. What Emily, chime in when you're ready. What do you see as being the next things that you think you could do with this material? Before the end of January, for example. I know rest of December is complicated. But what are the next steps that you can see yourself and your business taking? With this information. And Charles, you just mentioned one, which is I need to train my team on this.
For me, Peter, one of my objectives is to launch a website that's more reflective of the custom corporate art consulting that I do, because
Yep.
right now my all the URL goes to only one aspect of my business that I don't really focus on anymore, which is the e-commerce. And so once I think CRM could come in handy, because the whole reason for putting up it's just a portfolio page that shows the level of projects that I work on, the type of people that I work for. So getting testimonials from these high net worth individuals and corporations. I'll get a testimonial from Seth Godin, who's my mentor, that kind of stuff, and then be able to take a list that I have in various places, mostly in Asana, and maybe feed that list into AI and start to try to organize how to promote and how to just get a good system in place for reaching out to my leads, to my existing contacts, and to help organize that in some kind of way. Like, what is the best way to organize it? maybe go back and look at some of the previous belts that we've learned to figure out, you know, exactly. Like I might go back and look at like the prompts and feed this particular project into the prompt to help me execute it, you know, as cleanly as possible. And because the thing with AI is AI will often think of things that I will never dream of thinking of, you know.
Yeah. One of the that's great, Emily. So yeah, being able to utilize AI in that process, even if AI itself doesn't solve those problems, you know, using it as your thinking partner. You know, we talked about it being your cognitive assistant in the orange belt. You know, being able to use it to guide you on those next steps. You know, explore new options you wouldn't have thought about before. Teach you stuff in a micro fashion that you can go, yep, this is what I want to take, you know, I want to develop further, rather than, you know, having to spend, you know, a whole day reading a book or something like that. So yeah, being able to use it as a way to kickstart your idea generation is really helpful.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Again, like to your point, you know, having a draft is a lot easier to work from rather than starting from scratch.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What about you, Charles?
The first one is completed the course and all the homeworks. But after that, what I want to do, I want to create the Green Belt course, AI assistant for different roles in my team, so they have a helper to bounce idea off of and get answers to their questions before escalating it. And seeing how I can bring all my KPIs together in one scorecard and have all of that information pumped and pushed by ChatGPT. So that's like the vision. So how will I get there with the black course? It will help me get there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Great. One of the things that we didn't have time to cover in the black belt, which would be, you know, a much more advanced topic, I think I mentioned this, is the whole space of no code or low code development tools. That's something I'm actually taking a bit of a deep dive in myself right now. And you know, and every day I'm finding new tools, and every tool I find almost seems better than the last one I looked at. So the ability to actually create, again, this whole idea of microsystems, being able to take all of this and rapidly create a product that you can deploy, even if it's just within your business or even just for you, that can, you know, really create efficiencies in organization. It's now possible without having to, you know, have a huge IT department or any IT department, to be honest. You know, so yeah, these things are all quite possible. Chris, was there anything else in particular that you could think of in the next 30 days that you were going to look at?
Well, muted there. Um, I was actually going to look at the integration pieces because right now we use ClickUp, um, and there's some kind of Microsoft automation, but I'm going to try and see if there's a different API that connects that would be more friendlier
Mm-hmm.
for us. So that's an idea for the next 30 days. But I think primarily what I'm going to do, and I've already saved so much time in doing this, just not only for myself, for the team, but concentrate on working on those chat GPTs for our us to use. Um, Basically, it's just generate emails, do some database collecting on specific clients and things like that, analysis reviews, and then start building better processes was the next step, efficiencies and processes within the bookkeeping team,
Yep.
and have AI help me with that. That was one of the first things that was on the block when we had that table. That was one of the first ones that I targeted, but then I got excited with everything else.
Yes. Now you got to go back and actually get the real work done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great. Fantastic. Well, I look forward to hearing about some of the things that you've been able to do.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's change horizon then. Let's start to think a little bit into the distance. I heard a great analogy this week from Steve, the founder of Simple, and he talked about, you know, are we going to be a turkey, a gazelle, or a lion? And he said turkeys feel really safe and comfortable until Thanksgiving, and then they die. And this is where many of us may be in terms of our implementation of AI within our business. We feel safe and comfortable. We don't think we need this. And at some point, we are going to get killed off because Thanksgiving comes for every turkey. The gazelle is someone that is aware of what's going on. They're dabbling with it. They're dancing around. They're having a good time. But gazelles always have a threat, and their threat obviously is the lion. And of course, the lion are those businesses that are actually going to be the champions in the long run because they've worked out how not that they are predators in and of themselves, but they will be the champions in the new world order, the new business model, when, by using AI and adopting it fully into their work process. So, with that sort of metaphor in mind, obviously, my goal is for you guys to not be turkeys. Ultimately you want to be a lion, but maybe in the next year, what do you need to do to move out of turkey land into gazelle land at a minimum? So what do you think after you've got your short-term things done, where do you see AI being able to fit into and transform your business in the next year?
Yeah, I'm actually not even sure how to answer that. I'm not sure and that's just my honest truth. I don't know
Mhm.
how I would apply AI in terms of like remaining competitive. It's again, I just feel like, with my business being slightly abstract, you know, like it's just so based on, what is my competition? I don't know. It's people, maybe who can scale a little more, like people who have are able to take on bigger projects. But I mean, I don't know, like, so much of my work is just um, based on sensibility. How do you quantify that? How do you even scale something? Like, how do you not scale, but how do you, how would I apply AI? Like, I mean, and I do have the three different streams, which is the e-commerce, the custom, and then the catalog business with the bank. So I don't know. I guess my answer is I need to think about it. If I'm being honest, I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm. I think for all of us, that's one of the challenges that we need to spend, some time reflecting on, and that may be related to point number three. What is the constraint in your business? For you, Emily, growing your business, given the interesting or unique way that you are in the market, I think you asked a really good question there. Who are my real competitors? And these might not actually be other businesses. These are other mindsets. Netflix always said that their biggest competitor was not another streaming service. Their biggest competitor was other activities that people do. And so Netflix's goal was to stop you doing sports and get you back on the couch. So for
Yeah, like
you,
what
you
is
might be
the
able to use
actual
AI
business
to
that
to
I'm in?
help answer that question. What is your biggest competitor? Well, your biggest competitor is probably the office receptionist that thinks they know art. That's got a favorite author, a favorite painter, and he or she says, well, why don't we just go and get one of these? That may be a bigger competitor to you than some other art consultant. I mean, Charles obviously knows his biggest competitor is probably the DIY painter, but that usually goes wrong and he has to come in and fix the problems.
Yeah, it's interesting. I
Yeah.
mean, how like we talk about, we think a business is one thing, but it's actually another. Like Amazon, we think sells products, but really they're logistics.
Yeah.
So in a way, my business is selling art, but it's actually relationships. It's actually building relationships, right? So maybe if
Mhm.
I'm looking at AI through that lens and just looking at it a little bit upside down and and seeing how it can apply. Yeah, again, I don't know, something to think about.
Yeah. And one of the things I'd encourage you to do is to actually think about, what are the questions I need to be asking that will help me understand my business and my business's future better. And then ask those questions in a, interactive session with ChatGPT, and let it help you explore those themes, because as we've already seen, it's going to bring ideas and thoughts and perspectives that you or I by ourselves wouldn't necessarily think about. We get so myopic in our thinking about stuff, because we've been trained a certain way. We know a few certain things, and we stick to those base ideas, whereas AI has a much bigger language. It sees a lot more, and it's just got a fantastic way of being able to bring these broader ideas to us that we would never have found ourselves. So yeah, so that I think rolls into question three, which is, what is the constraint that AI can help you with? What is the biggest business problem that you have in your business, and how can we utilize AI to do that? Charles, what would you say for that question? What do you think the biggest constraint or bottleneck is in your business?
Me? And by that, I mean, I need to free myself from the daily task to give back to the business as the visionary.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't have a very clear answer there. I want to complete the course to put my vision to paper. Once I fully understand all the potential there. But all the tasks that everything that from an administration standpoint that is repetitive should be pushed to AI. Any redundancy should be pushed to AI. So I'll try to find where are the low-hanging fruits, start there,
Yeah.
and from there evolve, right, and grow the product of AI in my business. But it's too early for me to tell right now. I'm still like digesting all of its potential.
Yeah. Absolutely. And Chris, what would you say? I know you're not the owner of the business, but from either your perspective or from Angie's perspective, what do you think the biggest bottleneck in the business would be?
Hmm, I would say it's the organization. There was a lot of mismanagement the past couple years, a lot of turnaround. So there were new processes and old processes. There's old documents. The file system's a little wacky. They just threw up ClickUp without any kind of training or anything, so everybody has their own use. So what
Mm-hmm.
that's doing for bottleneck is our behind or back office administration work is quite more than what it should be for bookkeepers, right?
Yeah.
So we're trying to concentrate more percentage of time on the client work rather than casing files and emails and ClickUp and stuff like that. So most of my time with ChatGPT is probably going to be in the process piece. Like I said, that green belt and those earlier belts. And then, as I go along and fuss and learn more, I can develop and integrate more. Because I think it would be harder and worse if I start at the higher level and try to implement something huge without getting the little pieces taken care of and developing it and learning.
Yeah. I would encourage you, Chris, too, to not discount those bigger questions that early. There's definitely a case of, yeah, we can solve some procedural problems using AI and using automation, at the same time, you've got some organizational and maybe structural issues that, AI as your cognitive assistant could maybe give you some guidance on how to standardize.
True. Yeah.
Okay, so this is the thing with AI. It's not one or the other. It's both and. We can do both individual process improvements, and it can help us explore these bigger picture issues and come to some level of work plan or even conclusion on what's the right step to take next.
Right.
Okay, so don't think one or the other. Welcome, Kathy.
Thank you.
We're just talking through the next steps that I gave as our sort of end of class last week at the end of Black Belt on, just looking at what's next. We're looking at, what do you think is next for you in terms of implementing AI within your business in the short term? That's the next 30 days. Where do you want to go in the next year so that you don't get run over by AI, or made obsolete by other businesses that do? And then what we're currently talking about right now is what is the bottleneck or constraint in your business that you think AI could help you with? So we're sort of bouncing backwards and forwards between some of those things. So I'll give you a few seconds to gather your thoughts, but if you have anything you want to throw out, into the conversation, please do.
Oh, my next 30 days, I got to get my homework redone that I did accomplish and then move forward on the next belts that I haven't worked on yet.
Yep.
My submissions, there was no audio to them or what, something went funky with the recording. So
Yep.
using AI, I want to get a big picture overview of, where things are and get the process improvements, maybe more of a structural thing than the procedures, because the procedures are what they are right now, and they're changing on a daily basis because of AI. We're constantly struggling with fighting with it, trying to change things for us. And we have to change it back and make sure that the human element, we have eyes on and where it's doing what we want it to do instead of it thinking it knows best. I'm
Yes.
really struggling with that right now.
Yep.
And letting our staff know that, hey, you know better than the robot. When you tell it to do something, make sure that it saves it as you intended.
Yeah, that's my constant beef with. Yeah, there's a lot of AI products out there that claim they'll automate your bookkeeping
Oh,
100%, and I'm like, oh
mess.
man, the
What a
results from those
mess.
systems,
Yeah.
especially here in Canada, are
Yeah.
disastrous.
It
Really
yeah,
are.
it is. It is. It's just it's stinking. It's a struggle, constantly a struggle. I'm sure it'll learn, it'll get better, and blah blah blah.
Yep.
But right now, I was just telling one of my staff members. I mean, we are in the USS Enterprise, and we are on the cutting edge of this AI thing, and this is a new frontier, and we've
Yep.
got to deal with it and navigate it.
Yep.
So the bottleneck, as always, it's me. I'm sure I've got to get an assistant, and yeah, I got to get an assistant to help me with stuff.
Yep.
And as far as support, oh, thank you for that. Yeah, just let us know if you could throw out there like maybe best practices as far as, I mean, what you found maybe with AI. How do you implement it? I mean, you are on the leading edge of this, and you have been playing in here the sandbox for a while now. What can you tell us that you've liked, disliked, that kind of thing?
Yep. Yep. Okay. Well, I will certainly keep you updated on what I'm doing as well. What I'm looking for right now is in terms of, in light of what you've said, each of you, in terms of, what you need to get done in the next 30 days, where you think you might be going this year, what constraints you have to work on, what support would you need to make all that happen? One of the reasons why we're running this as a small pilot is, as I said to you at the beginning, Mario and I are looking to transform the way our firm works. And I don't know if I shared this little piece with you. I'm pretty sure I did. This whole thing started earlier this year with Mario and I, he came over to visit me. He lives in Washington State, and so he flew out here to Toronto and spent a week with me. And one of the things I said was that I don't know if we'll have a bookkeeping business in 3 years.
Mm.
That's the sort of trajectory that AI is on, and I don't think our business will look the same
Mm.
in 3 years. And in fact, I don't even know if we'll be able to have an accounting business in 5. So we started asking, what does this mean for our business? And at the same time, this is why this is we invited clients into this pilot. What does this mean for our clients? Because as Emily knows, and Charles knows, we care about our clients, and Chris and Kathy, you are both very similar to me in terms of your style of business and how you work with your clients. My main concern was not just I don't want my business to die, but I don't want my clients' businesses to die. I want to serve them and help them in whichever way is possible. And so that's why we said it's not enough for us to understand AI and implement it. We have to be the leader with our clients to implement AI as well. And that's what led to our first stage was me getting educated, did that. Then we started teaching our staff. They've all now been through this course as well, and we launched this pilot to get this out in front of some clients so we could see what it's like to present this to other people, and to assess whether we think this is something viable for us to roll out on a larger scale. So thinking through looking at 2025, what would help you guys be able to grow and in fact succeed with AI in your business that Fuel Accountants and I could assist you with? If you wouldn't mind thinking about that, throwing out some ideas as to some of the things that you would be interested in having. Obviously, everything's got a price, but what sort of support do you feel would be really helpful to you guys that would allow you to as we said earlier, not be the turkey, but at least be the gazelle and ultimately be the lion.
One thing I have in mind, Peter, is a master sheet that compiles all the prompt learned so far and organized by purpose, so that each prompt is like, you use this prompt in this context or for that purpose. And like, so we can just reference and copy and paste, because right now I'm finding that I go back in our previous classes and I'm like, is it green? Is it yellow? But having all of that at one place would be useful.
Yep, we have that on our action list. It won't be done before the end of this year, but we hope to have that out in early January. We'll have sort of like a prompt cheat sheet for you.
Perfect. There you go.
Yeah. So all those master lessons that we learnt, an example prompt for them, so you can go, yep, let me just copy and paste that, edit, and use that in a different context.
Another idea. Is it a follow-up course 1 year after this, done intentionally just to update us on the current state of AI, since it changes so much?
Mm-hmm.
I could see things being totally different in a year from now, or very much so.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yep. Okay. So a follow-up course would be particularly on what's happened in AI.
Yeah, or an update class, long time after.
Yep. One of the things we're thinking about is we have already been including an AI column in our monthly newsletter, and we're thinking about splitting that out into its own newsletter, and ultimately that maybe that becoming a weekly thing. It won't be weekly to start off with, and part of the reason for that is we want to be able to get other people to subscribe into that. And so that would also help a lot with what's happening in AI, tools that we've tried and used, things like that.
Peter, like a Substack.
Sort of, yeah. It would probably be more of an email newsletter, but we could explore, Substack or other kinds of delivery tools for that as well.
If what I'm hearing is right, you're thinking of moving almost perhaps into more of an education/coaching space.
Yeah.
I mean, you're the best accountant I've ever encountered in my entire life, just so you know. I think
Thank
you're
you. I
amazing
appreciate that.
at what you do. And, you know, I think the education piece is always just something that, you know, is really, really helpful. So in terms of the going forward, on the AI front, with you, like I think what happens here is like we galvanize around these workshops, and you know we're focused on it, and then like like with everything we just go back to our normal lives, and yet uh, AI is continually evolving every day. You're on top of it, I'm not. Like you know you're really good at like um you've always been like really on top of technology, which is actually I think one of your great strengths. And I think somehow being able to keep this community alive. So yes, for the guinea pigs, yes, for the pilots, like, you know, how can we maintain the community? So it isn't just 1 year from now where, you know, you lose the momentum. How can we, I don't have the answers. I'm just telling you what I would want is almost like our tribe of people here to be able to say, hey, I'm challenged with this, or you know, and as you build with your you know, additional cohorts, that maybe we all become part of a community somehow, whether it's a Facebook group or whether it's, you know, somehow a community where we can share with each other about, you know, what our challenges are and how people have solved them, and just be continuing to learn rather than it have be this piecemeal type of situation that, you know, where we lose the momentum, if you feel what I'm saying.
Yeah. Okay, so that's a great idea to have some sort of ongoing community, whether that be a monthly catch up or a Facebook group or something where we can interact with each other, but also keep up to date with what's going on.
Yeah, and I mean, I think a newsletter is a great idea. Sure, like segment it off from your existing, um, but you know, will you know, yeah. But I think down the road, a Substack, like where we pay like a subscription fee to get, you know, to get your thoughts on like what are the latest tech pieces, like even just being on a Zoom call with, I learned about Fathom, but you know, you didn't really teach it just because I happened to be on the Zoom call. Like I like those things. How can I make your life easier? Here's like all the latest technology I'm using. It's not just AI. AI is one piece. You've always been very on top of all the different technologies. And, you know, again, things like, you know, how can Zero integrate with XYZ? And I don't know, you know, anyway, that's off the top of my head. That's what I'm thinking.
Okay, great. What other ideas do you all have?
I like Emily's idea about like a Facebook group that we could just kind of maybe pop in there if we have a challenge or an idea, or um we ran across something kind of cool that we want to share.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be ideal. That'd be really nice.
Great. Okay. What about for you, Charles? What sort of things do you think would be helpful for you and your business being able to, you know, continue this momentum and in fact even accelerate this, you know, over the next year?
I like the idea of being able to hire either you or somebody else as an AI expert, and through an assessment process identifies those low-hanging fruits to, you know, find gains really quickly. I think that would be helpful to bridge how you take all the theory we've learned and how do you integrate it to different businesses, because we all deal with our own set of variables, and it's kind of up to us now to figure out how this works, right? But having that support throughout the integration would also be very useful, and you might even get extra dollars from that, right, Peter? You would be
Yep.
able to sell that.
Yep. Well, that's ultimately the ultimate goal is that, I've got to make money at this. So, yeah. Okay, great. Any other thoughts? I'm going to give you a couple of suggestions in a minute, just some things that I've thought about and get your feedback on them. But before I do that, any other thoughts? Maybe Chris, I know you're not necessarily representing the business owner, but if you were in Angie's shoes, what sort of things do you think you as a business owner would be interested in?
Um, yeah, that's hard to say. I think it would be more the deliverable side than for Angie. I think offering tighter, better, cleaner deliverable. I know there's a lot of clients we work with that are afraid and don't like the AI,
Mm-hmm.
you know, especially with small businesses. And so I can see how bookkeeping and accounts can go away, but I still think that there's that niche of those that'll still want it. And since Angie has got that base and word of mouth has been around, she might still retain. Whereas, like, if a new bookkeeping company were to start in a year or two, they might not have a chance, so to say. So I think more or less the deliverables.
Okay. Okay, great. Well, let me give you some of the thoughts that Mario and I have had about what we could do next. And what I'm really looking for is your feedback on two levels. One, do you think this is a good idea? And how could you see that work? But more importantly, would that meet you? Okay, so it's one thing to talk in generalities, but would you be willing to pay for that service? Okay. So let me run through just a few different layers because, depending on how deep people want to go. So this is sort of where we're thinking of, but we haven't put any plans in place yet. So the first layer, the most shallow layer, beyond sayonara, this is the end of the course. Your 3 months is over in a couple of weeks of access to the system. If you can get certified by then, great. So the next level is to say, we can extend your access to the simple transform platform so that you can continue to finish your certification, go back and rewatch lessons, etc. Use the transformation journal process if you want to. There's a few additional free tools or tools built into that system, like the action books and the personal development classes that you can participate in. And that product, costs $20 US a month. And that would allow you to continue accessing, the platform, finish the certification at your own leisure, continue to utilize the new resources. And the new resources are coming out on a weekly basis. So there's always something new being added into that platform. So that would sort of be the lowest level. The next level is, I think, as you suggested, Emily, some sort of ongoing community where we would build in maybe an office hours kind of session, once or twice a month, maybe with certain topics, could include a small teaching component, as well as just, hey, the office hours, the office is open, bring your issues, bring your questions. It's a closed open forum in the sense that it's only open to those who are part of the community, who have paid to be part of the community. It's not open to the public, but it's an opportunity to come and tease out ideas, help solve problems. And in some cases, it's one-on-one coaching because if only one person shows up, well, then it becomes, your session. So that would be sort of layer two of saying, okay, and as part of that layer two, we would probably, include ongoing access to the simple transform platform so that you've still got access to the recordings. You can review them anytime, finish your certification, get access to all the new tools that have been added, in that space. Layer three would be more active coaching, and that could take one of a number of ways. It could be, meeting with me on an ongoing basis to, discuss how you're implementing AI in your business and me giving you advice and tips on developing role plans for your employees, just talking through tools and implementation kinds of issues, sort of like what we would do, Emily and Charles, when you meet with me for financial coaching. We're looking at the financial side of your business. This would be more tailored to AI implementation within the business, but it would work very similar to the financial coaching that both of you have experienced with me, whether that be profit first or just the general financials. So that's a deeper layer. In parallel to that, we've also got the options of having other members of your team come and attend this course. One of the questions we've intentionally set this up as being aimed at business owners. And so a question that we have is, do we need two versions? One that is just for regular employees, and one that is more geared to, or maybe an extended version that is now geared to the business owner, because we talk about different things with owners than we do with employees. So that's always an option. You can either send people into the next class themselves to itself, or you could ask me to come and do a special private session for for large enough employees, or large enough businesses, where if you had 5, 8 people in your group, it would be cheaper to pay me a flat rate to come and teach the whole course than to pay for every individual person to attend a group course. Okay, a wider group course, and it makes it private for you guys. You get your own recordings. You're not getting anyone else seeing your interactions with me. So that's the option there on the training side of things, is bring people to the next course. And then thinking longer term, one of the ideas I've had is being able to sort of offer role plan coaching, where maybe for a fixed fee, I work with an individual. We go through that role plan exercise more thoroughly. There's some accountability in that. And the goal would be to actually try and take 2 or 3 deliverables from the role plan and actually AI enable that role plan. Okay, obviously we're not going to do all 64 units, but the goal would be to say take the top 3 or 4, lowest hanging fruit, and say how do we enable AI into this process, partly as a model so they can see how it's done, but also as a way to expedite, to be able to say, right, we want to get some instant savings here. How do we make this actually happen? So that would be a variant on the consulting side as well, much more tailored to working on one role plan, whether that be you as the owner or as a staff member. Say, right, we're going to work out this role plan, and now we're going to try and enable some of these items collaboratively. Okay, and that might include some agent development or tool development as well. So what do you think of those as options? Any of those really say, yep, that is actually perfect, or some of those you think maybe not so good?
I
Well,
think the
it's
training
You got in first, Charles. We'll let you go first.
sounds good. I think the private group makes sense with my organization, so that's definitely a good option. I think some individual coaching with us as the entrepreneur as a follow-up to this course would also be very interesting. I um and I find the idea of like putting you with one of my employee and developing the role plan AI based approach with them is very interesting. It would just really need to have specific deliverables. But I think there's something very interesting there.
Yep.
So those are
Okay.
the ones that resonated with me.
Okay, great. Thanks for that feedback. I think maybe, was it Emily or Chris? We'll let
well, you
Emily
can
go
go ahead.
first.
Yeah, I really like the idea of I think something I struggled with was like just continually trying to understand how to make it applicable to my like what the reality is of my business. Like how can I use this in a way that's actually going to change the dial? I actually still am struggling with that particular part of it. So I think, when we were on the phone at one point, Peter, you were like, hey, maybe AI would work to alleviate some of the processes that we do to, do the invoice allocations.
Yeah.
Maybe we can, and so to get that, like, drilling down into, like, because I'm still, like, I feel like I need to do the course again to really have it land. On that note, so yes, so some of the maybe like sort of custom coaching, like really on like getting into the weeds of like what I actually do, and then trying to find ways for it to have a real impact. Again, I'm still in the abstract, and then on that note, you mentioned your first one, which was like extending access. When does our access actually run out?
I think it's the 15th of January. I've just paid for your third month access
Okay,
to the system. So I think it's roughly around the 15th. I will confirm that by email as to
okay,
when your current subscription ends, and I will give you all the opportunity to continue that. As I think I
yeah,
said,
yeah.
it's $20 a month. If you
Okay,
want to continue access
okay.
just to the platform.
So it's not an unreasonable, because I too am, I think like other people have said, one of the goals is to catch up, and I've
Yeah.
missed one class. I've got to catch up with that. I really want to get the homework in, because why not?
Yeah, absolutely. You're doing
And
the work, you might as well get the credit.
but the challenge is, probably like everybody else, this is literally the busiest, craziest time of the year. My son is about to be off school for however many weeks, and like it'll be really tricky to try and find time to do it, and that's a reality. And also, I want to spend time with him.
Yes.
So, but we'll try and squeeze in what I can before the 15th, I guess. So
Make
those
sure
are my realities.
show them how to use AI.
Yeah, that's right. I actually had a chat with my son the other day, saying to him, I sent him a couple of YouTube videos. He's 16 and struggling a little bit with direction. And I said, "You've got the skills to do this, and maybe we can, work together. Yeah, he can initiate some things, make some money, and secure his future." So yeah, I was keen to look at that too.
Yeah, I was telling people around me about that. That they need to definitely start grasping a hold of some of the AI.
Yeah.
But
So Chris, what's your reaction to some of those options there? What would you think would
well,
be
I
best
can.
for you, and what do you think about those in general?
I think Emily said it the best with timing because I need more time,
Yeah,
and I can definitely say and authorize. We'll definitely take the $20 a month to have access. And um, we did have a lot of changes. We just released our ops manager, and now she hired a third party type ops person. So there's a lot of changes, and I think what would be good if potential later on down the road, maybe second quarter, is utilizing you within some of the team members to help implement some of the AI. Because my role is I'm the accounting manager. And the reason why she did select me on this is I'm very tech savvy and I can run with a lot of things. But my main responsibility are deliverables to the clients. So
yeah,
there's only so much AI I can work on. There's only so much AI implementation I can do. She really didn't hire me in that first place. But doing this already saved, I can tell you right now, we already beat that quota of the 4 hours, whatever. Um, and gonna continue to do this. So yeah, I would definitely say the monthly, we'll keep that going and then definitely connect probably second quarter or first quarter, maybe on the our team connection with you, that one where you can develop the work plan and your
yep.
processes can be
Okay,
put in place.
sounds good.
Peter, I would be interested in also extending my monthly simple package there so I can get access to it for an additional month required.
Yep, that sounds good. I'll email you all with your current with the current expiration date and giving you the opportunity to roll that over. Kathy, what about you? What do you think of those options, and do any of them sort of sing out to you as being something you would personally be interested in?
Um, I like the idea of like that role plan coaching and kind of doing a big picture. Okay, these are what we can offer our clients, and maybe drilling down on that and creating a live working because things are changing all the time, and to just maybe kind of embrace that and bring it into the now, and with our clients, and
Hmm.
just have more added value using AI, but it would be perceived, maybe it would be not a whole lot of work on our part, but perception on our clients' parts. Oh, wow, we're getting all this more valuable information from our numbers. We're able to use this in a better way. This is going to really help us implement changes to, so we can, improve our business and our bottom line.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would be great.
Okay. Okay. And then the other thing that I'll offer to all of you, I don't know how we'll implement this just yet, is the opportunity to be a referrer into whatever we're doing. So we're willing to offer a cash incentive for anyone that you refer into our program. So
Peter, I could definitely bring a lot. Now, would this be direct to me or does this go through Angie?
you and Angie can thumb wrestle over that one.
Okay, because I personally can definitely bring a lot to the table on that one.
Okay.
I've
My
already
my
had people,
my suggestion here would be if they are clients of Reconciled Solutions,
they're not.
that would be Angie. But if they're not clients of Reconciled Solutions, you should keep it.
Okay, yeah, they're not. I've
That would
already
be
had
that would be
people
my
asking me.
suggestion. Okay.
So yeah, okay.
Yeah. So that's certainly an option. For you guys to just say, hey, we love this idea. We've really enjoyed the course. Obviously, I want an updated testimonial from you all now you've finished the program. And if you have had value out of this, then other people, whether you want to put this on your own socials or whether you just know people that would benefit from this and you want to refer them to me, then certainly do that. And we're looking at offering about a 10% cash back for anyone that you refer in. We'll cut you a check, or in this case, in Canada, it'll be an e-transfer. We're willing to pay because we know that getting a bigger network is something that we need to be able to do here. And funnily enough, I'm not allowed to do that on the accounting front, but I am allowed. I can do that for non-accounting work. So that's something that we're allowed to do. So be very keen if you've got others that you would be interested in referring in to the new program. It will be a higher price. This was a pilot price designed to try out the program and get sort of we called it the friends and family approach. So looking to see if you want to refer people in. And of course, as I said earlier, and this is probably more aimed at you, Chris, if you feel this is something that you would be interested in doing yourself, then we can actually get you into the consultant program with Simple as well.
Okay. Yeah, if you have my email, send me because I'd be interested and I guess and we could take this offline so not to take up time, but if you have different models, like this is very business owner orientated one, but maybe you have for college bound kids or kids in college kind of a module or and I know this is a new thing and maybe a future business plan, but there are a lot of people that come up and ask me because I've been really vocal about this and I think I've applied a lot of it in my time at night in my personal life too, just
Yeah.
to experiment and it's done wonders. I brought it out there. So yeah, we definitely take that up.
Yeah, well, that's actually you say that because that is definitely an area that Simple is currently developing. When they started this program, over a year ago now, the plan was to sell it into large corporates, and that's still part of the goal. But what they've realized is that everybody needs this, and we can't rely on large corporates to be able to decide to pay to get this into their teams. We actually need to be able to go straight to individuals as well. And so that we're actually creating a program that will allow us to sort of, attract that mass market. Might not be as personalized as what we've done in this last, few weeks, but that's definitely on the cards. That's something that they're working on actively. So I'm hoping that in January I'll be able to let you know of what the new offerings are.
All right.
Okay. So maybe
Good.
right now, if there's business people, that's my passion, business owners in particular, that you think would benefit. I'm what we're saying to people right now who are interested in the course is we'll do a 15-minute consult. And the reason we want to do the 15-minute consult rather than just send them a payment link is because we want to understand what's their business. Are they going to be a good fit? Do they really need a private group session, or they just need one or two people to come and join the program? Are they the owner? Are they staff? I just want to get an understanding of them before we, throw people into a course together.
Right.
And yeah, go ahead, Chris.
No, I guess so. And then of course they're going to ask pricing. Is this something that we can give out, or is this something you rather close with them if I refer?
Right now, we'll close. I mean, obviously, this is not a cheap program. I think we're looking at um, offering this at about 1,500 US for the 10-week program. Might be a little
Okay.
higher than that. Um, as part of sort of our mainstream. And by the way, let me say that we've been advised to offer this between $2,000 and $5,000 per user to corporates.
Oh, good.
That's the price that we're told the market will bear. We're still committed. Mario and I are still committed to the small business. But that's one of the challenges that we're thinking about here. So yeah, I think for now price is still a little flexible, and we'll negotiate. Yeah, we'll work on that with the right people. But yeah, if you want to recommend people in, I'm happy to have a conversation with them. If the price or the timing is not right with them, that's fine. We will look at other options. We're also looking at maybe sort of a self-guided option, where they get the recordings, but they don't get the personalized instruction, and that would obviously be a cheaper price. Although again, they're recommending $2,000 for that option per participant. So we're willing to look at different options for different price points. But our goal really is to help business owners take their business from a turkey business to a lion business at the end of the day. That's what we want to see. Kathy, I think you missed the analogy of turkeys, gazelles, and lions. So I'll repeat it just briefly for your benefit. A turkey is fat, comfortable, and well fed until Thanksgiving. A gazelle is happy and confident and having fun until the lion comes to devour them. But the lion is the one that conquers all. So my goal has been to get you guys from turkeys to at least gazelles, and ultimately I want to see you guys become lions
Do you
when
have
it
like
comes
a
to
post
AI.
or something that we could use for marketing for you to push forward, give them enough information to maybe pique their interest?
That's a good point. We've started working on our own marketing campaign, but maybe we need something that's a little more shareable. Yeah, I'll raise that with Mahan. We'll get something out to you probably after Christmas.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've got some folks I could certainly post that on my Facebooks. I've got a few different pages that I could maybe throw it out there and see if anybody's interested in the AI.
Yep.
Mm,
Yep. Sounds good.
cool.
I guess we got to
Yeah,
work out how we can track that if it's going out on social.
yeah, it's true, exactly. I was just gonna say, Peter, because I wonder if there almost needs to be like some sort of reciprocal reward, how that works, like, because like I can post things to my social, but how will you know where they came from if they don't,
Right, yeah.
if you don't actively ask? But it can be maybe it's one of those things where, use this referral code to get da 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 da, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That's a good idea. So it might be something not that you share that I've posted, but you post directly, and we give it a URL that we know we can track that originates solely from you.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got a couple of ways I might look at that, but that's a good idea. We'll look into that. So, okay, well that's fantastic. So if you have any more thoughts after this, Emily, as you're driving across Ontario, feel free to email me back or send me a voice message or something like that. On how, on your reflections on, what we should be doing here at Fuel as we make this, pivot or additional direction in terms of our own business and how we want to aim to help our clients and the market in general. And then if there's anything specific for you guys that would be helpful, let me know. I will send you an email with a summary of next steps, which will include the offer to extend your simple subscription onto effectively on a monthly basis, so that you can keep up with, you can keep the certification window open, and then anything else you need, and I'll give you more details about referrals and stuff probably just after the new year. Okay. In the meantime, if you've got people you want to refer just individually, I will obviously honor that referral deal. If someone calls me and says, "Hey, Chris told me I should call you," or they email me, we'll certainly honor that, even if we haven't got the formal process in place. Okay.
Sounds great.
Okay, well, thank you all. It's been a pleasure working with you all over the last 10 sessions. And I will send out a few more emails over the next few weeks to keep you posted on next steps.
All righty. Thank
Sounds
you.
good.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Take care. Happy holidays.
You too. Merry Christmas.
Bye-bye.